Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we're looking at one of those premiums that has been already out for a while, and I just didn't get to, because, you know, premiums are sort of flooding things. And the reason I'm looking at this ship is because she's currently in the, I think, 5-year anniversary crate, and as a reward, and as such you might see a couple of them, or you might even have gotten one of them. And I think this is the only one that I actually haven't reviewed. So, due to current events, we are looking at the Marceau, the Tier 10 French premium destroyer. Now, the Marceau is a bit different from the other destroyers. Reasonably certain the ship didn't exist. I did have a quick look for late 30s French designs, and then for wartime Vichy designs and post-war designs, but none of them looked particularly close. The one thing that's outstanding, and we will get to that in a second, are the guns. So let's start with some comparisons. And why is the Gibraltar in here? We don't need that. We need the Marceau there. We'll begin with the Kléber. There we go. So the Kléber, being the French scout cruiser, tier 10, very fast, not particularly maneuverable. Guns don't turn even if it's an emergency, but good high explosive shells. I think it's 139mm caliber, and rapid reload build, obviously making all the difference. The Kléber gets 3 engine boosts. The Marceau gets 5. The Marceau also does not get the rapid reload, so okay, we'll look at that in a second. The Marceau, on the other hand, gets the defensive AA, so this is probably a post-war design that goes more in the direction of the anti-aircraft cruisers that the French were building in the 1950s. Other than that, the same hull as the Kléber, the same top speed. Maneuverability is slightly worse, but it's marginal. The guns is where it gets interesting, because these are 127mm 1948 with a 54 caliber length. We've seen these guns before. If you haven't spotted it, I'll tell you in a minute. But yeah, obviously we get 8 of them, but these are only 127, these are not 139s. They have a significantly shorter range than on the Kléber, but they reload twice as fast, which is nice. The fire chance isn't great, 2%, but the damage is actually not bad on these post-war guns. So for 127s, their damage is okay. The fire chance is really low, though. And the turrets, as you can see, are obviously fully automatic because they are rotating at 40 degrees per second. Compared to the 12 on the Kléber, this means this ship is actually a lot more maneuverable, or can be played in a lot more maneuverable way, rather than staying sort of on one side and operating at long range. She gets torpedoes, just like the Kléber, same setup, 4 triples, 2 on each side, so a light cruiser setup. They are having a bit of a better range, but they're slower and worse in every other regard. Except reload. So they reload a bit faster, but they don't hit quite as hard as the Kléber's torpedoes. But they have an 8.7 kilometer range, which means you can stealth torpedo in this thing. The anti-aircraft armament is actually not terrible. I mean, it's not great, but it's a destroyer. It's not bad. It can shoot down a couple of planes. It can't defend itself against a carrier on its own. But, well, I mean, who can? It can shoot a couple of planes down, and you don't have to be as afraid to be in a large, not very maneuverable destroyer when you're being chased by carriers. The concealment, the 6.9 kilometers, is actually not terrible. Significantly better than on the Kléber. So this is more of a traditional destroyer than the Kléber is. And if we're looking at the Kléber, which is the ship that actually did exist, we find very familiar guns, only that the Kléber gets twice as many of them. But then the Kléber is a cruiser. This thing is a destroyer. Now, the Kléber works for two reasons. The Kléber works well because she has a significantly better range than this thing, and she can compensate for the 2% fire chance by literally just ducking the crap out of it. Because that thing's got a 3.4 second base reload, and and she can just zip around and unload, whereas the Marceau has not as many guns. So setting, is this an HE spammer? Actually, it isn't. So after looking at that, I was kind of asking myself, so what is this then? It's more stealthy than a Kléber. It's as fast as a Kléber. It has Kléber guns, but only half the amount, and it can stealth torpedo. This is a fun boat. It's not a monstrously powerful destroyer. But it's an extremely fun destroyer. So let's go through the setup, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. You do get the choice between donking the reload down even more, or going for speed. Obviously, we're going for speed because this is a fun ship. So that's that, and its acceleration as well. Since we added the historical camouflage, it does give you range on the main battery, which is sorely needed. Range on torpedoes, which is nice to have. Traverse speed and surface detection, which is all good stuff for a destroyer. So yeah, that is a worthy camo to get if you are so inclined to spend money on this. We are using, I'm generally not talking about the supplies because there are usually just two things I'm doing. Either I'm using the high-grade coal for better surface detection, or I'm using the maintenance pack for more hit points. That's for things that don't care about the surface detection or have sufficient hit points where this makes a difference. And the rest is always going to be crew rations and the other one. These, if you're not aware, are not represented here. So these stats don't yet represent the supplies that will only be applied in-game. But I'm having a rapid, not a rapid reload build because she doesn't get the rapid reload, but the main battery mod 2 to get the reload down even further. The propulsion mod and the concealment modification, because speed is everything. Speed is what you need. I was tempted to go with the propulsion mod 2, which is something I would probably have been doing on something like the Kléber, but this thing can stealth torp, and she doesn't have the gun range of the Kléber, so she kind of needs to be playing a little bit more traditionally, let me put it that way. So with that setup, we are getting to a top speed of 45 knots, and the guns have a 3.14 second reload, and you have 8 of them. Daka! That said, these 127s are not super punchy. So even when fighting destroyers, I find myself often using the HE because I'm bouncing a fair amount of these AP shells of enemy destroyers. APCS might be a valid choice there if you're trying that against destroyers. But let's have a quick look at the captain build. Given that I do have a defensive AA, I'm using the battlefield support and the air defense expert. I do like using preheating, especially on a ship this quick, because it means I can absolutely be somewhere where nobody expects me to be. Again, on destroyers, I do like to use the Daredevil unless there's a reason to use fire supremacy. Exploit weakness makes sense, and obviously you want the engine overload. I am using the adrenaline rush rather than extinguisher. You can use extinguisher if you want, but then again, destroyers don't have an awful lot of hit points to begin with, and it's all percentage based. It's the effective amount of hit points that you're saving is not quite as large, but if you want, you can absolutely use extinguisher and the compartment maintenance. I prefer to, like I said, this is a fun ship. I prefer to just have more Dakar when I'm on low hit points and maybe take somebody down with me. So yeah, jury's out about APCS on this thing. I would have to test if that makes her more effective against enemy destroyers. But just using the HE alone already can be quite fearsome. So I did say it's a fun ship. Why is that, Terry? Well, it can do a lot of things. It's not particularly dangerous per se. It's not that it can, it can almost one-shot battleships or that it's extremely maneuverable in a knife fight or anything. but it's very, very quick. It's comparatively stealthy compared with the rest of the French destroyer line. And it's just one of those ships that you zoom around the battlefield and have fun. And it doesn't matter if you're doing a lot of damage or not. You just enjoy life. And as long as it lasts in this ship. At least that was my impression after I've been testing it. So let's take a look at that. The first battle we find ourselves in is a 5v5. We're up against Yamato, Missouri, Musashi, Zao, and Shimakaze. It is epicenter on chain, and there is a bot carrier in play. So given that I am absolutely faster than everything else, and the only thing that I can't outspot is the enemy Shimakaze, and the carrier is a bot carrier, I'm going to go into the center cup, because I am going to do, 56 odd knots in this thing. So full steam ahead, engine boost up for full acceleration, torpedoes on narrow spread, and I am going to try, I am trying here to use the armor piercing against destroyers, just to see how it works out. And yes, with preheating and engine boost, 56.8, almost 57 knots in this thing. So, Geronimo! Shima is in the outer ring, because he's the only one fast enough to get there. So the enemy Shima is going for the cup, which means I am going to drop some predictive torpedoes and then just use the island to shield myself from him. So torpedoes out here. And given that these torpedoes have a 40-second reload time, you really don't have to be afraid of using them. The same goes for the engine boost. You've got 5 engine boosts. You can use it very liberally. So a couple of torpedoes out in that general direction, and then we wait and see if we can find ourselves Shimakaze. Because he is, yep, there he is. Hello, Mr. Shima. Shots out at Shima. Guns are a little bit floaty, so I do need to give a little bit more lead. Let's see if he hits any of these torpedoes. Nah, I think he managed to avoid those. But if I can hit him, I am just straddling that thing. But that's not the point, right? Okay, there, one bounce. Oh well, back to the high explosive. And there comes the Zao, who is already trying to spoil my game here. But you see what I mean, right? Even though if I wasn't particularly effective in actually damaging the Shimakaze has been running away, which means we're holding the center cup, which is already half the game. And now the Zao is focused on trying to take me out, which I'm okay to go into a gun duel with Zao at that range. Even though 10 kilometers would be a lot more comfortable, you really do need to have your head on a swivel. So that was the bot Izumo from the right. Shima, can you just sink that thing, please? I can't be arsed with it, really. Please sink that. Because he's shooting at me for some reason, not at you. There he goes. Okay, Shima dead. Not Shima, Izumo dead. So the bot's sorted out. And it has come to my attention that we're not holding all the rings. So let's cut the center ring. And there's an accumulation of battleships over there. But they're all outside the capture circle, which is, well, at least they're in the outer ring, so that's not terrible. But let's make ourselves, let's give them a bit of a welcome and just say hello. I want to drop some torpedoes in the general direction. There's a Yamato as well, and see if we can loop ourselves around the whole thing. Of course, that Zao on the other end is a bit of a problem. And here you again see that the high explosive on these 127s actually performs really well. So this is one of those ships where I wouldn't be on a fence if I wanted to use the APCS. I would have to test it. So that Missouri looks like he has dodged the torpedoes, but has run into the Yamato, and that is not a problem. Because unlike something like a Shimakaze, my torpedoes are already reloaded. Missouri is boosting the heck out of there. There's the enemy carrier, and I'm just dropping some torpedoes in the general direction of these guys. Missouri is maneuvering weirdly. I'm not sure what's going on there, but looks like someone's been having, well, let's call it lag issues. And that Yamato is turning, so we'll lead the shots maybe a little bit. There comes the carrier. It's only a bot carrier, so I don't have to worry about the torpedoes. The only thing that I'm really concerned about here is the Zao, because obviously he's still shooting at me. There come the shots, but from that range he's never going to hit me. And Yamato is stopping, which is probably to avoid the Shimakaze torpedoes, but that means he's running into all of mine, so there you go, have a couple of torpedoes. It has to come to my attention that we're not holding all the capture circles, so let's get back there and do something about it. And see, this is why I enjoy this ship, because you can be taking a little bit of a detour, and get back into the action reasonably quickly, because there's really nothing that can easily stop you, because you're doing, even without the engine boost, you're doing a comfortable 46 knots. Okay, Yama is reversing, so let's drop a little behind. Now, there's the Zhao. Okay, Zhao, shoo! Can you get out of here? I'm trying to farm battleships, for goodness sake. Anyway, that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to have fun, really, and to zip around. So we are recapturing the middle ring. The Zhao is now buzzing off. The rest of the enemy team is not threatening the center cup. I don't know where the enemy Shima is, but he does not want to be in here with me. Because it doesn't mean that he's locked in that I'm locked in here with him. It means that he's locked in here with me. So let's drop the Zhao. Is he going to shoot me? No, he's actually got other problems. So if he's not paying attention, he might actually run into these torpedoes. Let's see. Maybe he runs into these torps if he is not paying attention. He's now coming under fire from the battleships up front. And the enemy Shimakaze is all the way around. Oh, friendly Shima is rushing the Zhao. So unfortunately now he's going to turn, which means he's not running into my torpedoes, but is torping the friendly Shima. But there's nothing else left, honestly. The battleships down there are all dead. So while we've amused ourselves with making sure that the caps are staying under our control, somebody else has been doing the work for sinking things. But again, that's not the point of this ship. It's just there to have fun. So a couple more for good measure in the general direction. So the Zhao is going to dodge all that torpedo soup, and he appears to have stopped and is shooting at me, but no. I'm a lot faster than that, my friend, which means that he's now giving a perfect target for whatever battleship is that up there. But there's a Shimakaze. So back to the armor piercing. Again, I was testing that at this point. And that Slava of ours is probably now in a bit of a pickle, because he's up against Shima and Musashi. So let's drop some torpedoes on the Musashi since we're here, and then we keep firing at the Shima and see if we can get him interested in not torpedoing our Slava. The Musashi has taken out our Vermont, and he might, I'm not sure if he's going to hit these torpedoes or not, so given that he's focused in on the Slava, we're just going to drop another load on him, because I've got lots of torpedoes, and then we keep shooting at the Shimakaze, and see if we can get him distracted. Yeah, don't worry about the Musashi, that Musashi is already dead. And there he goes. So, you could say, look, I've gotten 57,000 points or 60,000 points of damage in a tier 10 destroyer. That's not an awful lot. No, it isn't. But that's not the point of this ship. This is not a 150. This is not a damage record ship. I mean, you can probably play it like that if you play at maximum range and try to set fires and. But it's fast and it's fun. And why would you? It's much more enjoyable to zip around in the countryside, just distract people left, right, and center, drop torpedoes left and right, and use the engine boost liberally, and just, run circles around everybody. Are you going to come out on top of the team? Probably not if you play like that. In the second battle, and again, it's a 5v5, we are playing against Audacious, Izumo, Halland, Shimakaze, and Yugumo. Lots of destroyers on the enemy team, one Izumo. And we have an Audacious of our own in our own team, which is from the same fleet of that other Audacious over there. So, well, we'll see how well that goes. Anyway, I am not super afraid of the carrier. I mean, yes, obviously the carrier can kill me because, it's an Audacious. It's a British carrier. Even if it's just tier 9, I'm in a destroyer. That isn't the Halland. And I am very much vulnerable to carrier attacks. I do have a bot gearing with me. Yeah, it's bot. Okay. Anyway, we'll take it, but we'll see where the carrier goes, and we'll just run up this flank and see what's coming up here. Friendly carrier is scouting middle. Enemy carrier is scouting the other flank, which is much appreciated, which means that I have a chance of remaining undetected, and yes, I am very, very fast. So let's see if the friendly carrier sees that I am moving ahead and is scouting this flank. Thank you very much. That is much appreciated. There is a destroyer. Good to know. There are 2 destroyers. Good to know. Friendly carrier is going after the destroyers on this flank. Thank you very much. Well done. And that's a bot Fletcher. What's the other one? I'm not really too concerned about the bot. That is a Yugumo, but he is running away. Okay, so be better if you were dropping the Yugumo instead of the bot Fletcher, but hey, you do you. So that's some damage. I'll just kill it if you don't mind, because that leaves their flank completely open. And I am in a very, very fast destroyer. Okay, let's kaboom the Fletcher. So that's the bot gone. And that means if no one's been paying attention to the map, I should be going undetected. Why am I undetected? Who's detecting me? Is that Yugumo? Must be the Yugumo. Let's get out of his detection range. And engine boost up again. And the carrier has not been paying attention. So let's put a bit of pressure on the enemy capture circle, shall we? I mean, I'm not trying to cap them, but generally you would say if you're playing a destroyer and you're sailing all around the edge of the map just to try to get to the enemy capture circle, you're not doing it right. Well, the thing is, in this thing, the battle isn't even 2 minutes old and I'm already at the enemy capture circle. So we do have some opposition though. There's Yugumo, there's Halland, and there's the enemy carrier who is moving away, unfortunately. It's not sitting still in his capture circle. So, well, let's introduce ourselves then. Shall we? Hello, Mr. Yugumo. Are you seeing me? Hello. Yep, there's the Halland. Okay, so we do have to be a little bit careful here. Halland, where are you going? Stop some torpedoes in his general direction. And I mean, it's a maneuverable destroyer. I just want to throw him off, and there's Yugumo going the other way. I don't want to necessarily target Yugumo. There's some more torpedoes at Halland. Halland has dodged the first drop and is probably about to drop the second drop. Yugumo is not paying attention, so I can get some shots off at him. But hello, Mr. Halland. Have I mentioned that my torpedoes are reloading reasonably quickly, and he's not really shooting at me, so he must have gotten his own torpedoes away. So I'm using the engine boost again to throw off his aim. Now he's shooting. Yep, there come his torpedoes, but because of the engine boost, they are not hitting me. And there comes the carrier. Oops, carrier. Okay. No, took those. Second carrier wings, torpedo wings still coming in, but I've got the Def AA up, but it's a British carrier, so obviously it doesn't help. But that's also not the point. I've got a Halland to play with. I got some more torpedoes for the Halland. I can't remember what the reload on the Halland is, but I have learned my lesson not to use armor piercing against these things. Okay, I have some more torpedoes. There comes the carrier again. Dodge those torpedoes. Yep, dodge them. I got one torpedo hit on the Halland. Now let's not run into the torpedoes, but let's run away from the Halland and just gun him down as we are. And I think that's a gun duel that the Halland is regretting to have taken, because now he's dead and I'm not. I could use a heal at this point, but the enemy carrier has now other destroyer problems, because one of the other destroyers is coming with. Although I'm not sure, it could be a bot, in which case he is going to send... Oh, that wasn't even meant for you. No, he's dropping the other destroyer, and but it's a bot. So okay, so he wasn't concerned about the bot. He has now found me. Engine boost up, and let's hope that he is aiming too short. Def AA on, because speed is of the essence. So he is going forward. Torpedoes out, and okay, that's not a bad drop. But I have managed to dodge that one. So. We have shot an aircraft down. Yay! British aircraft carriers for the win with indestructible aircraft. At this point, we're down to it's a 3 versus 2. So I'm just trying to distract the carrier, and there's another destroyer out there somewhere. So the friendly carrier can find that thing, but I'm just distracting the enemy carrier. And you know, having some fun with it. So obviously, not an awful lot you can do against the dive bombers. The torpedo bombers, on the other hand, are a bit of a problem. I don't have the engine boost ready, so straighten her out. Let's accelerate. Nope. He's learned his lesson. Okay. Ow! Torpedo! I'm flooding. Can damacon that, but the second drop is going to kill me. I've got the torpedoes away. Second drop gets me just about. If I had the engine boost ready, it would be another story. Friendly carrier helps out, and satisfaction. So, that was a carrier for a destroyer. That is a points advantageous trade on our side. And now they're just, there's a low health Shima, and the friendly carrier's got this. Friendly carrier has... it's got him spotted by fighters. So, Marceau. Is this a ship that you're going to do, I don't know, like 150,000 points of damage in? Probably not. I mean, the enemy team has to do a lot of derpage to make that happen and let you get all your torpedo hits in at close range and not shoot at you. It's a fun ship. And I'm enjoying it because it is more versatile than something like the Kléber. The Kléber is kind of a one-trick pony. The Kléber can be very fast, and it's got the kind of burst gunfire thing that she's got going. But the guns don't rotate. She can't really deal with destroyers at close range unless they're sailing broadside on and not making any evasive maneuvers. She's more of a long-range sort of ship, more of a scout cruiser really. Whereas this is an actual destroyer. Doesn't have the greatest amount of firepower, but it's just fun. It's fun in a way that the Italian destroyers and in mid-tier were seeming, and I haven't tried the Italian high tier, so that's something I still need to do. But it's a ship that even if you're just coming out in the middle of your team, you can do interesting things with. You can get to the enemy cup before the 5-minute mark. You can just zip around in the enemy team and just do things and drop torpedoes left, right, and center, and just enjoy life. That's kind of how the ship feels to me, and for me, that's more valuable than a ship that can necessarily, do massive amounts of damage all the time. So I think this is a really, really fun ship. It's different from the traditional French destroyer line. It's kind of like a pocket Colbert, although the Colbert is a bit different because the Colbert really is a cruiser, so she really needs to watch out with battleship fire. This thing can dodge shell fire, and even at the 8-kilometer range that the guns are limited to. And it's one of those ships where I don't expect to survive the battle, but I'm sure that at the end of it, I would have had a blast. So that's what that is. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.